All right, welcome back to the Came Out Swinging podcast. My name is Joey,
Hey y'all, it's Glizzy Mike.
and today we have two special guests on the podcast.
Hey, my name's Angelo. I'm Joey's brother.
What's up, everyone? I'm Trevor, every good friend of everybody.
And today's episode is all about music, bands, underrated artists. So first, we're going to talk about the music scene in general. We're going to talk about concerts as therapy. We're going to talk about how bands utilize social media for exposure. We're going to talk about the trend of staying relevant in hardcore/rock music. Then we're going to go into crowd surfing, moshing, and two-stepping. Then we're going to talk about festivals such as Blue Ridge, When We Were Young, So What, Welcome to Rockville, Adjacent Fest, Incarnation, and of course, Warped Tour. Then we're all going to talk about 5 bands that we all love. Then we're going to talk about 2 underrated bands that we all think are deserving of more love. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with our social medias and the ending quote. So the first thing I want to talk about is just concerts as therapy. I see concerts as such a place where you can go and just forget about life for a couple hours. It's such a powerful thing. The fact that you can just go to a place and have thousands of people with you and you can forget about life and you're all there for one specific purpose is such an amazing thing.
I think to add on to that, you talked about going to a place where you're with like thousands of strangers, right? I personally think that when you're at a concert, you're not really with strangers. You're with 1,000 potential new friends. Throughout my time here, going to different concerts, I've met some incredible people just based on like, hey, awesome shirt. You're here for that band too? And just like partying, having a good time, man. Like you're going to meet so many incredible people at these concerts. And it builds a community and it makes it feel like home.
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, they're strangers when you walk in, but you quickly find out that like everybody in the scene is so friendly, so wholesome, and everybody's looking out for one another. I think that's the most powerful thing. I can't tell you how many times I've crowd surfed, moshed, two-stepped, whatever you call it. Like a problem happens with me or one of my friends, and someone's so quick to hop right on it and be like, hey, like, what do you need? Like, do you need me to help you? Do you need me to do this? Do you need me to do that? It's such a welcoming environment, and that's another reason why it feels like therapy, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, for me, concerts, it's all fun. Like what Glizzy said, everything's all good, like strangers, but potential of meeting new friends. The amount of concerts, I haven't been to as much concerts as a lot of people, but I made a lot of good friends, like probably over like 100-something friends I made in a couple concerts I went to. Really got to get back to one. It's been a very hot minute since I've been to a concert.
Definitely, man. Get out there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll add on to that. I've been to at least like 150 shows, all like metal, rock, punk, pop punk, and the community is just like wholesome for the most part. I mean, obviously you have those like one-outs that like are, assholes and crowd killing, but for the most part, everybody does look out for each other, and I've met lots and lots of friends that I still have to this day just from going to shows all over the country and, meeting a bunch of cool people from all walks of life.
There are many people that I feel like we all have met that were strangers at one point, but from the love of music and just from the atmosphere of meeting at a concert, it's you meet friends for life sometimes. And there's a lot of people that I could think of just off the top of my head where, going in, I knew no one, but then walking out, I met like 10 people, and then them 10 people you see at another show, and they recognize you, or you recognize them, and you're like, hey, I saw you at the last show. And they're like, oh, shit, yeah, cool. And, like, you're just bonding off of that, like, always seeing each other at shows. And it's funny because Glizzy, me and Glizzy at least, that's how our friendship started. We used to go to a lot of concerts before we actually formally met each other, and I would always see him in the mosh pit, and I'm just like, that guy is fucking killing it. And then eventually we saw each other at an emo night, and I walked up to him, just like, I see you everywhere. What is your name? What is your Instagram? We should link up. We should be friends. And that's basically how me and Glizzy, at least, started out as friends. And there's a lot of people that we've all met that way, at least in my opinion. So now we'll go into how bands utilize social media for exposure. And I feel like in today's day and age, you have to utilize social media because it's everywhere. Everyone's online. Every band's trying to stand out. The market has so many bands and so many different genres, so if you're not standing out, you're not doing something relevant, you'll kind of fall through the cracks, at least in my opinion.
You tend to find that a lot of bands do different things to find their little niche. So one band in particular that I've noticed is like Dexter and the Moon Rocks. So they have started this thing called The Wall, right? And it's basically like printouts of these attractive like TikTok girls that are listening to their music and just place it literally on their like bedroom wall or their like living room wall, right? And they're getting a following off of that. And through that following, all the people that are watching their videos are also listening to their music. So now they're going on tour across the country, putting out brand new albums and stuff like that. They're doing really good. And honestly, I actually saw them back in December, and it was an incredible concert. Social media definitely has been a force multiplier in their ability to get their name out there. So, I mean, look at the different trends, on TikTok and all the different bands that are blowing up because of it. I think the quintessential example would be like Pierce the Veil. Ever since like King for a Day came out, like back in 2012, mind you, came out in 2012, great album, right? Didn't get that much attention until what, 2021, where it got popular on TikTok, and now like Pierce the Veil is selling out arenas, and you can only get their tickets for like $200, and then that changed the entire culture of the folks that are going out to see their shows, right? They started out as a post-hardcore like punk band in like San Diego, and there is a sort of concert etiquette that comes with a Pierce the Veil show with like a lot of post-hardcore, metalcore bands, right? And nowadays, when you go to their concerts, the environment is just a little different,
TikTok girls.
The environment is definitely different. And to Glizzy's point, yeah, back in 2012 when they released King for a Day, not saying it wasn't popular, but nowadays you look on TikTok and it's one of the most used sounds. And like so many of these people that did not know about Pierce the Veil are now listening to Pierce the Veil and getting into Pierce the Veil. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the fact that when we used to go to concerts back in the day, it was always we used to get bullied in school for listening to this music. And now we have, 16 to 20-year-olds that are just like, this is the best song in the world. It's like, where were them people when we were in high school? Where were them people when we were sitting in our rooms listening to this when we were, just young and dumb? So it's really interesting how social media in the last couple of years has just exploded.
Yeah, I'll jump on that with the whole TikTok thing. Like 2 years ago, nobody knew, or at least I didn't. I don't even know if they were a thing, but Sleep Token was 100% like not in my brainwave at all. And I mean, I don't really like them now too much, but I will say we went to Blue Ridge Rock Fest in, the September of last year, 2023, and they played right before Slipknot. So like one of the headlining bands, and like I'm pretty sure they blew up because of TikTok. Like people were using their songs, and like I don't even know. Like I don't have a TikTok, so I personally can't. I don't know how it happened, but I know that was one of the main drivers behind all that. It's crazy that they went to headline. They went from like being a smaller band to headlining festivals in like the span of a year, 2 years. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I'll jump in on that too. Like besides Pierce the Veil, Sleep Token, I seen a couple of things on TikTok that had like Electric Callboy on it. Day to Remember was a few of them for Downfall of Us All. Great song. And then randomly like throwing in other bands, like there'll be one with like Green Day. There was some with Symbol playing where they do like teenager to adult glow up transition with I'm Just a Kid. So like a lot of the bands are using social media to like gain attraction of new fans, or like even bringing back old fans. Just like, hey, guess what? We're still streaming. Come check us out. We got new stuff coming out, or we're doing a reunion tour. Just they're taking over social media and taking it to their advantage to all different levels.
And something we simply just can't skip over. Some of these trends aren't intentional from the bands. It's literally just their fans, bringing things back. I think Creed and like Nickelback are a prime example of that. There's no way.
For sure.
There is no way that we all just suddenly like Creed again. Like, don't get me wrong.
That's a good way to put it, right? Yeah.
Awesome band, awesome songs, right? But their popularity out of the blue, like what was it, like November, when like people were like.
Especially with people like our age listening to Creed.
Yeah.
This was like dad rock, like 10, 15 years ago. Like people that were our age then liked it. Now it's like everybody that's our age is like kind of like super into it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's cool again. You're not getting bullied for liking it now. I think that's the key driver. Is like, oh, it's safe to like this again.
Yeah, people like Nickelback now.
Yeah. Well, let's be perfectly frank. No one really disliked Nickelback.
Right.
They
Yeah.
secretly enjoyed it, but they didn't want to get
It was
bullied.
the ongoing joke when we were teenagers.
Yeah. But I think it's hilarious how these different trends are bringing different bands back to the forefront. Like I would never imagine like being 30 years old listening to Limp Bizkit again.
There's some really good points. Going back to how they utilize social media, take for instance a band like Green Day. They've been around since 1988. So when you have teenagers / 20-something-year-olds that grew up in the 90s that were listening to Green Day, their fans nowadays are in their 50s. So how does Green Day stay relevant? Well, they have to utilize social media and their new songs / their old songs that are obviously still bops and bangers into the landscape of how we as all millennials and Gen Zs use social media. But the fact that you have to utilize social media now is an interesting thing to study and an interesting thing to see over time, because obviously trends and memes and all of that definitely play a really integral part in how bands genuinely stay relevant in today's day and age. And piggybacking off that, our next point was talking about the trends of staying relevant today, in particular hardcore music and rock music. And I'll give you a great example. There's a band called We Came as Romans, and all of us love them. But their newest album, Dark Bloom, they have a song called Daggers. Now, before I say this, I'm not talking any shit on 0936, okay? He's not that bad. He's cool. But in talking about a song that's really hardcore and in your face, this song starts out that way. Starts out with a great intro quote, goes right into a breakdown, goes into a really hardcore verse, goes into a really hardcore chorus, and then the second verse is just rap. I hate that. That bothers me so much. And if you know the song, maybe your opinion's different, but you got to admit, it doesn't fit. Maybe you like it, but just in my opinion, it doesn't fit. And that's the trend that I've been noticing in the last couple of years, where you have a hardcore band or even just a rock band, and they have to utilize other genres that are quote-unquote more popular to stay relevant. And I think the trend needs to die immediately because I don't like it.
I agree, but somewhat disagree with that. Like, yeah, there is some hardcore heavy stuff that has just like, what the hell is this when it comes to the rap part? But then there's other ones where you listen to it all the way through, you're like, damn, this shit good. Like, perfect example, Upon a Murdered Body years ago did a thing with Ice-T when it was Body Count. They did a cover, it turned out for what? Shit went hard for no reason. And then Ice-T made a band, Body Count. He raps, heavy instruments, everything. It was good. So yeah, depending on who it is, it could work. Depending on who it is, might not work.
Are you gonna really tell me that OG Loco from A Mice and Men didn't go hard as fuck?
All right.
So I think it depends on the execution, right? And-
So that was like 20 seconds in the beginning of the song. That's what you're referring to, right? Is that like OG Loco part? Like the I go hard in the motherfucking paint. That's like, all right, it's like the intro. It's like, it's not an essential bridge of the song. I understand what he's saying. Like, I hear you, but I don't know. It's a debated topic in this friend group for sure. Listen, I think it's great. Like, branch out, try different things, and it's only one song. Like, whatever. I'm not into it myself. Like, I don't like, say, oh, Daggers is like my favorite song, but it is what it is. They're trying different things. It's not like they did it on another song. This was the only song We Came as Romans ever did that on. So it's like, as long as they don't keep it, making it a permanent thing, I'm not upset about it. But I don't listen to that song.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to execution, if they can pull it off well. Like, there are certain bands that, rapping parts are who they are as a band, and it's organic. So, like Dropout Kings, for example, or like Unity, Texas. Like, they inherently have rapping parts as a part of their band and their sound. So, it works for them. It doesn't work for every band.
And you're talking about like other genres in general, like not just to focus on rap. I mean, like there's bands that like use like electronic shit and like post-hardcore that like melt. Oh, the dog's barking. So I mean, you said other genres when you mentioned this, topic. It's not just rap. I mean, obviously that's like we're not really so much into like hip hop and like R&B and stuff like that. But there's like there's hardcore bands and like pop punk bands that like throw some like electronic stuff in there. That's cool. I think that's cool. So like some people probably like rap that also like this music, and they think it's cool that some bands are trying this.
The biggest bother for me is the fact that when you take the song Daggers, and if you don't know it, you should go listen to it so you can get a really good example of what I'm talking about. You go into the song and it starts all in your face. It's a great breakdown. You're starting to headbang. You're starting to really get into it. The verse keeps you there. Then the first chorus keeps you there. And you're expecting to stay heavy. You're expecting it to still be a really hardcore song. And then it just quickly transitions and completely ruins the flow, at least in my opinion. When I go into a song, I like staying on one genre, and that's my personal opinion. I don't like that some of these bands are going into 3-4 genres in the same song. Maybe on the album, if you have one song that's rap and one song that's hardcore and another song that's rock, another song that's whatever, fine. But to me, at least, in my opinion, when a song has like 4 or 5 different genres, I don't really know how to act because I don't know what's coming up next. And then if I listen to the next part, it kind of catches me off guard. At least that's my opinion. That's kind of why I don't like the rap part in Daggers. I'm not saying 0936, I think that's what it is bad. I think the rap part's great. Just in the song in and of itself is not great. That should have just been a whole song with Dave on the vocals and the whole band behind him in another song that's just strictly in the genre of rap or hip hop with some metalcore elements into it, not a hardcore in your face, I'm about to mosh pit, and then it goes right into rap. It kind of defeats the purpose for me. It kind of ruins the flow.
You can talk about Daggers all you want of how bad it is. I don't care what anybody says. The Jay-Z Linkin Park collab back in 2004, 2005 was the hardest thing I ever heard for a rap metal collab.
Well, that's a little different because Linkin Park is nu metal, and nu metal, the genre in and of itself, has rap elements in it. So it's not too far-fetched to have them two collaborating. But a rapper and a hardcore band, to me at least, on the same song in 2 different genres just is weird to me. But like I said, that's just my personal opinion, and that's kind of why we wanted to start talking about the trend of staying relevant because obviously in today's day and age, when you listen to the radio, if you're not on a specific station that is metal, rock, or whatever, and you just listen to popular songs, you listen to like what the majority of people who are just into music in general are listening to, it's not good. It's not great. Like, it's very generic. It all sounds the same. And bands need to stay relevant, so they get elements of that relevancy and put it in their own songs. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world because some of these bands have gotten really popular because of it. My personal opinion is I just hate it.
It could be worse. We could have Little Yachty doing a song with Beartooth, but I'd rather hear Daggers than that, honestly.
To summarize, I don't hate the song. It's one of my most played songs by We Came as Romans recently. I just hate that they mixed 2 genres on a song that I was ready to mosh, and now I feel like I should just shake my ass. It's weird. I don't like it.
Some people like that.
So I am definitely one of those people that like it. I'm not sure if you heard this one guy. It's like the John Candy. And he does like sample chord. So I'm pretty sure he does like the harsh vocals, but like everything else is just like samples from like songs from the 80s, like hip hop songs, just random crap like NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, straight into like an intense breakdown. It's absurd. It really tickles the ADHD of my brain. It is so much fun. I think I'm gonna give you some homework after this, Joe. So I want you to listen to that new Spirit Box song that has like Meg the Stallion on it. I want to get your take on that.
Bro, that song slaps. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a good song. I love it, man. It's so good.
I heard you say something about Backstreet Boys. Backstreet's back. All right.
So I'll listen to it, but my opinion may not be what you want to hear. It's I don't know if I'm gonna like it or not, but I will definitely give it a try. As a musician myself, it would be disrespectful to not listen to anyone's art at least once or twice. Next topic we're going to talk about is crowd surfing, moshing, and two-stepping. So crowd surfing, we'll start there. I've crowd surfed hundreds of times in my life. And I tell people all the time, crowd surfing, at least in my opinion, is a feeling that you can't compare to anything else in life. Like, see how when people are just like, oh, this feels like sex, or wow, this tastes amazing, this tastes like this. It's really hard to compare crowd surfing to another feeling in your life. The dopamine rush you get, the fact that you have one of the best views in the venue at that moment, the fact that you have the bands most likely recognizing you, and just the feeling of your fight or flight. It's really hard to match that feeling, at least in my opinion.
Doug, I really hope the sex you're having is better than fucking crowd surfing. I'm looking up for my boy over here.
You know what I meant. I'm saying when you're crowd surfing, when you try and tell people, oh, it's really hard to give them it's like, because crowd surfing is so unique. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'll give that to you. So for me, I've only crowd surfed 3 times in my entire life. 3 times. I swear to God.
I can't crowd surf. I'm a big boy.
Those are rookie numbers, man. You got to bump them numbers up.
Well, see, like the thing for me, like when I'm crowd surfing, I am terrified of losing my shit because, like, if something slips out of your pocket, you're not gonna get that back, and it's gonna
Fanny packs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I'm not going to most shows with a fanny pack, dude.
I go to every show with
I'm
a
trying to
fanny
look
pack.
cool. I'm trying to look like tough as shit. Because we'll talk about this in a little bit when we talk about the pit. Because that's my domain, right? But every time I've crowd surfed, it was like in a costume. So the first time it was in the Left Shark costume in like Oklahoma City to like A Day to Remember. It was the best day of my entire life. It was like right before Halloween. Like I knew that hey, it's October 30th. Let's rage. Let's have a party. I was literally at the show by myself, and I'd show up in a costume, and people were like, "Oh my God, is that fucking Left Shark?" Dude, this one girl came up to me and was like, "I hope you get some ass tonight." I was like, hello, ma'am?" It's like, "I'm married." I'm like, okay, fair enough. But that was such a ethereal experience, being that person in a costume, just going hard, and I felt legally obligated at that point to crowd surf. The second time, it was again in the shark costume, years down the road, to Boys Like Girls. And this is the time we got recognized because again, it's right around Halloween, so I had to run it back.
The day before Halloween, just passed. October 30th.
Yeah, October 30th is special to me apparently. So again, I'm in the shark costume and like I had to crowd surf, and I'm with Angela over here and the other cast brother Sonny, and they're dressed as like Super Mario's.
Yeah, we were Mario
and they're
and
like,
Luigi. I was Mario.
Got to give a shout out to Super Mario Land and the fish, I guess.
The fish. That video is on my Instagram. I might want to see that.
That was really fucking funny because I remember at the end of the concert, I walked up to Glizzy and I said, I'm never going to let you hear the end of that. Every single time we talk about that Boys Like Girls concert, I'm going to be like, he called you a fucking fish. He didn't say shark. He said fish.
Hey, I'll take it. Getting recognized and like being on like their Instagram, specifically like pointed out and called out, that is awesome. And the last time I crowd surfed, it was at that Christmas show that Lorna Shore and a few other bands were putting on. This is at like the Starland Ballroom, and I'm in my reindeer outfit, and of course, like I had a crowd surf, right? So I get the it's a feeling you can't describe, especially when you're like committing to a bit. That was a very special moment for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've crowd surfed many, many times, like Joe has. Some shows, like some of my favorite bands, I'll go up like 10 times. It's really like, it is like an indescribable feeling. I mean, you're like floating, singing music you love, looking like the bands can see you, so it's very like, it's like a personal thing. And there's like the danger aspect of it too. It's like your adrenaline.
Your fight or flight, yeah.
Real hard. I mean, it's definitely, I've gotten dropped before. People like bitch and moan. All the little girls up front can't hold you. It has its like annoyances, but for the most part, it's a great time, and highly recommend to anyone who goes to like energetic shows like that we're talking about, and has not crowd surfed, you need to. There was one time, it was Blue Ridge Rock Fest 2 years ago, whenever Papa Roach was there. I crowd surfed. I forget what song. I think it was Scars. I think it might have been Scars. I was on the crowd being like pushed toward the front for about 50 seconds straight. And it was indescribable, really. Like it was I'll never forget it. Such a great moment for me. I don't think the band noticed me, but I had a fucking blast.
Yeah, that reminds me of when Shine Down was playing. I think it was the first Blue Ridge we went to, 2021, right?
No, yeah, that was the first year. Yeah,
Shine Down was
the first year
playing,
we went.
and they played Diamond Eyes, and
We
that
all
song.
went up for that.
Song's a throwback for me and Angelo because that's one of the first songs we ever started playing in Rock Band.
On Rock
and
Band Blitz.
They played that song, and me and Angelo were just like, we got to go up. That crowd surf in particular, I was on the crowd for at least a minute and 20 seconds. The fact that I was on the crowd for that long, and there were so many people holding me up, and it took forever to make me get to the front, it was such an amazing feeling. And it's definitely something that I cherish in myself, that the amount of crowd surfing I've done and the fact that I'm still here and I'm not damaged as a person is nice.
Yeah, I got dropped on my head before. That was not fun. It was at a Simple Plan show. A lot of little girls there could not hold me. I got dropped on my head. It was painful.
Sometimes it's really hard to know if a crowd surf's going to be successful or not, but there are signs. Like if you're in the pit and you see a path that leads you to the front, because that's what I do. I analyze the crowd. I look around and
That's
I'm
how
just
you
like,
have to do it.
yeah. Like I look around and I'm just like, okay, the people in front of me, big ass dudes, not too many, 4 or 5 girls there, fine. I will take my chances on this direct route in this straight line to the front. But there's times, like he was kind of saying, where at like all-time low shows, a band that has a very young / impressionable audience, most of the time it's kind of hard to crowd surf because the vibe isn't there. But on top of that, even if you say fuck the vibe and you decide to crowd surf anyway, you're probably going to fall because
Right.
I'll give you an
and
example.
the people that like stand in front of the pit, they don't, if they're not like into it and they don't want to hold you, they just like put their arms like
gonna
over
put
their
their
head
arms
and
to the
crouch
side.
down.
Right.
So then you're falling on top of them no matter what. Like everybody that's in front of the pit, if there's people crowd surfing, you need to have your hands up and like just try and help because cowering and sinking to the ground is only gonna like get you crushed. It's not fun. So don't
Yeah,
do that. Also, don't fucking stand there if you don't want to hold crowd surfers. Like go somewhere else. That's crowd surf lane.
That's a good point too. I've seen so many things online where people are just like, "Can we stop with the crowd surfing at shows?" Listen, you
never
can
gonna stop.
you could
It's never
walk
gonna
to
stop.
the side, you could walk to the back, or you can walk out of the venue. Like just don't be where the crowd surfer is going to be. If you're at any rock, hardcore, pop punk, it doesn't matter.
Metal,
Doesn't matter the genre.
hardcore.
If people get rowdy in the slightest, there's going to be crowd surfers. There's going to be moshing. There's going to be two-stepping. There's going to be crowd killing depending on the genre. You need to expect it, and you need to be ready for it because it could happen, and it could just pop up out of nowhere. And that's a good transition into moshing. Moshing is so fun. You want to talk about therapy.
So fun.
It's nice to push people. And everybody is in the same mindset to where we don't want anyone to get hurt. If someone falls, you pick them right back up. If someone genuinely needs help, everybody puts the X's up, and hopefully the band sees us and we stop the show, and like that person gets medical attention. But most of the time, nothing happens, at least in the shows that I've been to. And everybody's just having a really good push pit. Everybody's having a really good, hardcore pit where it's a little more than a push pit. But still, no one's genuinely going into not really a little. It's definitely a lot
There's
more
a big
hardcore.
difference between like pop punk pits and then like metalcore pits.
That's very true. You make a good point.
I wouldn't say it's a little more rough. I'd say it's fucking.
There
like,
is two flavors.
you
There's a
get- you
push pit,
stand in the
and
wrong
then
spot at the wrong time, and you're getting knocked out.
that's true.
You need to know what you're doing.
If you're on the edge of the pit, stand there, protect the whole circle.
I'm a big edger. I'm a big pit edger guy.
Yeah.
I am. I'm usually on the edge of the pit.
Mosh
I'll jump
guard.
in. I'll definitely jump in for songs I like, but most of the time I'm like right on the back, like facing the stage, right at the edge of the pit, like protecting the crowd
Just at the
with,
show
with
edging.
my arm up.
Just at the show edging.
Yeah, I edge.
The
every
whole circle
concert I
is
go to.
edging.
I'm a huge edger, big time edger here.
Moshing is definitely fun, and it's definitely a great way to release some of the energy that you have pent up and some of the stress that's in your brain. Because as I said, when you go to a concert, you forget about life for a while. So like, if them thoughts come back to you at the concert, a really good way to genuinely forget about them is like, hey, I could take some of this aggression out into the energy of the room. And like I said, as long as you're not a dickhead and you follow the etiquette of mosh pits, then it's all a fun time and there's usually no problems.
Yeah, man, I love being in the pit. I feel like I'm legally obligated to go into the pit. I can't think of one show where I didn't go in the pit. Like, literally, I went to, it was Fit for a King, The Devil Wears Prada, Counterparts, and I think this band Avoid or something like that. Very good, all very good bands. Like, top tier lineup, 10 out of 10. And it was like a weekday. It was like, actually, no, it was Sunday. And I had like work early in the morning. And I got a fresh tattoo. Literally got a tattoo at the Villain Arts, tattoo festival. So like, I didn't want to get infected. So like, all right, I have to be responsible. I can't be covered in 3 fat sweaty dudes sweat and like getting it infected, right?
Right.
So like, all right, let's behave. Let's edge for a little bit or something like that. But when The Devil Wears Prada came on and they played Danger Wild Man, like, it was over. It was over for me. I had to go in the pit. I had to throw down. I had to show people what's what. And then they play it outnumbered, and I was like, all right, it's over. And then I was like, all right, dude, you really got to, like, clean yourself off and then take care of yourself. But I love going to the pit. There's something about being in a quasi-dangerous situation with people that have the same mindset. Because you go to these pits and you see people like swinging their arms, like pushing each other, and it looks like a miniature fight. And then as soon as the song ends, they're hugging each other, they're gripping each other up, like, Joe, you were going nuts in there, like, and it's just something else. Like, that fellowship, that bond, that brotherhood, it's a chef kiss. I love it. I need it.
The vibes definitely are exactly how Glizzy is describing them. Like, I've been in hardcore pits where people are swinging their fists, crowd killing, kicking, spin kicking, you name it, it's happening. And then the second the song ends, everybody's just like, yo, you did great. And like, we're all hugging it out and we're all like happy. We're all,
pat on the back.
right. It's a big like, congratulations,
belly
you
bump.
survived kind of moment. And like, we're all happy for each other and no one has any ill will.
It's a family.
But there definitely is songs like Lizzie was talking about also, to where I'll go into a show and I'm just like, maybe not really feeling it tonight. I'm definitely going to be on the edge of the pit, definitely going to help each other, definitely going to, feel the vibe out. And then that one specific song comes on and I'm just like, it's time. It's Van Damme time. Zip up my fanny pack. It's time to get in there and it's time to work. And I've had so many shows like that. And it's such a good feeling because, like I said, we're all there for the common goal. We're all there to release tension, release stress, and just feel like a part of the bigger picture, I guess, when we're all in a crowd of 1,000 people.
Yeah, like me, like everyone's been numerous mosh pits. I only been in a couple. I'm one of the ones at the concerts where it's like I just like to sit there, jam out, have a good time. But then there's always like that one song that a band plays. You're just like, I gotta go in. Like, fuck everything. I gotta go in. So I remember the one concert I went to was 2017. We Came as Romans came on, and out of nowhere they started playing a seed, and I was just like, all right, I gotta go in. Next thing I know, everyone's fucking running into each other, fist swinging. What Joey said, Van Damme at each other. Went nuts. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm down with this. I like this. And then I Prevail came on, and it was bloodbath. A lot of people got knocked out in that pit. I sadly was one of them.
Yeah, speaking of knocked out / getting hit, I've been punched in the face, I've been elbowed in the face, I've been kicked in the balls, I've had my foot sprained, I guess, maybe a couple times. Like,
I got my
just
nose broken.
yeah.
Under oath pit.
Angelo got his nose broken in an under oath pit. Like, it happens. Like, you need to go into the pit expecting the possibility of you getting hurt. But if you're down with that risk, go have a good time. And most of the time, nothing happens if you're smart. but there will always be that risk of something happening when you enter an environment where people are just going nuts.
Got a question for y'all. What's the craziest thing y'all seen in a mosh pit? So I'll tell my story first. So like we're talking mostly about like metalcore bands, hardcore bands. But one band that I was not expecting to have such an intense pit to is the Wonder Years. So I went down to one of their shows earlier last year in Wilmington. It was like their Sunday show. Came out swinging. At the very end of it, there was a girl on the floor just like convulsing on the ground. I'm like, what's going on? They had to stop the show and everything at the very like last 10 seconds of the song. Soupy's just looking at like, yo, what the fuck's going on? Like security had to come out, like tell people like, hey, everyone get out. I'm yelling at people like, to get out. It was insane. And like that, the Wonder Years is not that heavy of a band for people to going absolutely nuts and like throwing haymakers and just like doing karate in the pit. It was something else.
So I'll tell you my story, but really quick. There is, I've noticed that at least my body tells me when I'm getting overwhelmed or when it's time for me to stop. And I feel like that's a good PSA to tell everyone. If you're in a pit or you're crowd surfing or you're doing something where you're exerting a lot of energy and your body is somehow giving you a sign to say, you know, you need to stop or else you're going to pass out. You need to stop or you're going to hurt yourself. You need to stop or you're not going to remember the next 5 minutes because you're going to wake up and be like, what the hell happened? I've seen so many people get knocked out and they wake up, and I feel like maybe if they would have just listened to themselves and said, okay, I need to relax, I need to calm down. There's so many times where I've been overheated, and yeah, you want to keep staying in the pit. You want to, you know, it's your favorite song or you're in the middle of a crowd surf or whatever, but you got to take care of yourself first. One of the craziest mosh pit stories I have was 2023 Blue Ridge. We were in the pit. Me and my brothers were in the pit for Like Moss to Flames, and I had a GoPro on my chest, and I was recording. Unfortunately for this guy, but fortunately for us, I recorded this guy breaking his arm. He got shoved in a pit, and he fell right on it, and you can clearly see in the video his arm bending in a way your arm is not supposed to bend, and it's funny because if you slow down the footage and you look at this guy's mouth, because you couldn't hear what he was saying because the music was so loud, but you can literally see him voice in words telling the person next to him, I just broke my arm. And I have it on video, and it's one of the craziest things I've experienced because I watched it because the GoPro is right on my chest, so the video is showing a POV. I was right in front of this guy, and he fell right in front of me, and his arm just bent a way it's not supposed to. And it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in a pit.
For me, it would probably be, say it was about like summer 2017. Me and my boy Derek, we got tickets to go see, the concert was Dahlia, Die Hard as a Murder, Left to Suffer, and I think Old Wounds was the opener. Great show. Dahlia decides to open the show with Statutory Ape. You already know where this is going to go. There was a guy dressed in a gorilla suit, a guy dressed in a banana suit. I hear Trevor, the lead singer, going, yo, gorilla, it's aping time. He literally throws the guy a banana on the floor in the middle of the pit and just starts humping this man to death. I was like, what the hell is going on? They get up, hug each other. They're like, same thing. They're like, same thing next week. I was like, so this is planned? Like, what the hell? But it's probably one of the funniest, most craziest things I ever seen. The fact that I literally seen a man in a gorilla suit hump a man in a banana suit on the floor in a circle pit.
Lovely.
There's probably a lot. I've been in a lot of pits. There's probably some better ones than this, but one that comes to mind is, believe it or not, it was a fucking Real Friends pit. Warped Tour 2018. It was Scranton. This girl was just going crazy, and it was like Late Nights in My Car or something. So like everybody loves that song, like Big Feels. It was like the second chorus. Everybody was going nuts. This one girl though was like letting it out, like unleashing. And this one guy's like elbow just like connected with her face. And like she got flung, like, you know, basically like elbow punched in the face, like probably broke her nose, I don't know. But she flung backwards and like landed like on her back, like probably hit her head and just did not get up. Like closed eyes. It was like dramatic as fuck. So everybody was screaming. They stopped the show. Security came running over, had to get her out. But that's just, I mean, it was, I was like, Real Friends? Really? Like, come on now. It was a lot. but they played the whole song again though, so I wasn't that upset about it. But you know, poor girl. That's rough. She was tiny. She's a tiny little thing. Again, there's definitely many more stories I could, if I really thought about it. You put me on the spot, but there's definitely some wild things I have in my mind. That dildo at Beartooth was pretty lit.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
The double-headed dildo.
That was pretty funny.
Two-headed dildo flopping around, crowd surfing and pitting with a dildo.
We were all recently at a
It was very
Beartooth
big.
show here in Philly, and we were in the pit. We were all jamming, having a good time. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, we look up and we see this person wielding not just a single-ended, a double-ended dildo, and just waving it around, just saying, "Hey, notice me. I have a dildo." And we're just like, "Okay, how'd you get that in here? Like, where was that at? Was it stuck in your ass the whole time? Like, security let you bring that in? What?" It was great. All right, so now we'll go into two-stepping. I like to say there's two versions of two-stepping. There's the light pop punky version of two-stepping,
That's
and
what
then
I
there's
do.
the hardcore, swinging your fist back, swinging your fist down, utilizing
that's like
your
hardcore
legs.
dancing. It's not really two-stepping. Is just like the pop.
Yeah,
thing we
kind
were
of.
talking about
All right, fine.
swinging.
There's
is not
pop punk
two-stepping.
two-stepping, and then there's
Right.
hardcore
Right.
dancing, I guess is the best way to put it.
There's,
And both have their pros and cons, at least in my opinion.
to me, two-stepping is like something you do the story so far. Like you don't two-step to like metalcore.
Well,
you can-
depending.
like the slow, like yeah, like the fucking the choruses that are like catchy, sure, but like not like the screamy parts. Yeah,
Yeah, not
You
during
don't
the
two-step
breakdowns.
to that.
Imagine two-stepping.
There's no one two-stepping in those pits. They're trying to survive, swinging their elbows and fucking fists around.
You gotta listen to it. There's definitely sections within like metal, like hardcore.
No,
like, songs.
I get that.
Yeah, there's definitely
I just
sections
said that.
for it.
Yeah,
Like, it's-
definitely.
it is still two-stepping.
The pop punky parts.
Yeah.
but you're not. I wouldn't.
two-stepping.
Well, like every genre has a version of a two-step. There's a country two-step. There is like
True. That's a good
like
point.
hip hop two-step, right?
That's
like there, every genre.
Gritty, hit the gritty, hit the gritty.
Every genre has a
Hit the
version
gritty in the pit.
of like a two-step. But for us and like the pop punk, like metal scene, like I think two-stepping is a lot of fun, and this is where people can bring out their individual style. What you notice when you go to shows that like everyone's got a particular style. Like, just look at the Cast Brothers, for example, right? When Sonny is doing his thing, he has a very quintessential Sonny two-step that is recognizable across the entire dance floor. Like, oh, yep, that's Sonny over there. Same with you, Joe, right? Everyone's got their little version of the two-step.
That is very true. My version of the two-step, if you want to visualize it, is really utilizing your arms and your legs like fully. Like I'm talking like spread eagle each hop. Like that's my version of a fun two-step, and it's definitely to Glizzy's point. It's definitely it's a fun experience, and it makes you feel good inside. It gives you a lot of dopamine, at least in my opinion, especially if you can match your hopping / two-stepping to the beat of the song, because it just makes you feel great.
Yeah, there's days where like Ron was home listening to the music, aka the good music. Literally any song could come on, like Jamie All Over comes on, Came Out Swinging by Wonder Years comes on. I'll just sit there and just two-step to myself. Next thing you know, I got my kid two-stepping with me too. She goes, "Daddy, I want a two-step," and now probably like 3 nights a week, we literally two-step for like an hour or so, and she loves it.
The mantra I say all the time is, if you try hard enough, you can two-step to any song.
Teaching them young.
I feel like if you put me on the spot right here and told me to two-step, I wouldn't know how to. But when I'm at shows and like certain song comes on, it just comes out of me.
It just hits. It just comes out of nowhere.
It definitely does. And that one night we were all at emo night. I forget what it was, like 3 weeks ago, like the 5th or something. Me, Lana. I don't think you were in it. It was like me, Lana, Sonny, and somebody else had like the perfect little like 4-corner two-step. Like everybody sticking their foot out at the same time. It was like beautiful. It was very cute. I loved it.
When the music hits you, it's like you've been two-stepping your entire life. You just know how to
Right.
do it.
It just comes to you.
I kind of agree with him. Like, without music playing and you just told me to two-step, I could most likely do it,
No, I
but
wouldn't.
it wouldn't feel the same, and I feel like you wouldn't get my full two-step unless music was playing. All right, so now transitioning into festivals. So we wrote down a couple. There's definitely more, but the big ones are Blue Ridge Rock Festival, When We Were Young, So What, Welcome to Rockville, Adjacent Fest, Incarnation, and of course, everyone's favorite, Warped Tour.
I'm going to Sonic Temple this year.
Angelo's
Saturday's
going
on
to
my
Sonic
birthday.
Temple.
Joe's coming too. He just hasn't bought a ticket yet.
I'm going to buy a ticket soon.
Yeah.
When We Were Young, we've been the last 2 years. Blue Ridge, we've been the last 3 years.
We weren't at When We Were Young the last 2 years because the first year was Wind We Were Young. We had tickets to
Wind
Saturday,
We
and
Were
it got
Young.
winded out, 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh, that was lovely. Coming all the way to
So,
Vegas,
We went this year though.
ready
last
to
year.
go in, and Mother Nature said, nah, you're not coming in.
Flew to Vegas, bought hotels. Just the weather decided to have 60-mile-an-hour winds the day we were supposed to go. So yeah, that didn't happen.
It was lovely. Festivals are a really interesting thing when it comes to your stamina and your abilities, because if you think about a concert, a usual concert with, let's say, 3 openers and the main act, most of the time is about 4 hours. A festival could have dozens of bands, and you could have a lineup of 12 hours. You can get there at 11 o'clock, and it's not over until 11 o'clock p.m. So you need to pace yourself. You need to hydrate yourself. If it's outdoors, you need to put
Comfy
sunscreen on,
shoes,
comfy shoes, pack a snack, pack a water bottle. Have your clothing fit what you're about to do. For instance, if you're going to mosh pit and crowd surf, make sure you wear, something where you're not going to constrain yourself and get really hot. If you're just going to be in the back crowd, yeah, pants are fine. Whatever you want to wear is fine. You need to really think about a festival more than just a normal concert. And that's usually what I do when a festival comes up. Like When We Were Young, it's out in pretty much a desert, even though it's in Vegas. It's a whole 12-hour day, especially the one coming up in 2024.
I think being in line for an hour and then walking.
Well, yeah, you got to think about all the intricacies that come with
15-hour day.
the beginning and the after the
Three-quarters of the way
festival,
through
too.
this year, my feet felt like they were about to fall off, dude. I wore Air Force. I was like a fucking idiot. Never again. It's hookahs this year.
Wear comfy shoes and prepare yourself is my advice when people ask me how to survive festivals. And we've been to a lot of festivals. Me and Angelo, just in general, have been to Warped Tour, well, used to go to Warped Tour, for 8 years in a row before they stopped it, from 2012 to 2019. Blue Ridge, I doubt they're going to have one this year,
Nah, that's
but
done. Blue Ridge
the
is
last
done.
3 years in a row we went. When we were young, the last 2 years. So, like, we're no stranger to festivals, and they're definitely a great experience. And you want to talk about thousands of people. No, it's usually tens of thousands of people that you interact with, and so many more bands and so many more songs and so many more things to do, so much more area to track when you got to walk around, and you got to prepare yourself because it's a lot different than just a normal concert. But Blue Ridge, man, we could talk about that for a second. Me and Angelo and our other brother and a couple of our friends went to Blue Ridge Rock Festival in 2023. We had not the best experience.
I mean, nobody did. We had a pretty good experience compared to some of the people
that is
were
true.
there and got fucked
That
over.
is true. We
Still
didn't
waiting
have
on
the worst
refunds
experience.
that are never gonna come. I mean, I did get $100 back from my bank, but I don't think the rest is.
But yeah,
coming
I got
through.
reimbursed for
I don't
the
think the rest is
the
coming
shuttle
through.
bus
Yeah.
pass, but that's about it so far. We're
Yeah,
still
me
waiting to
more
hear
than you.
refunds. Yeah, Blue Ridge was a great idea, and it was working for even years before we even started going.
Fan-driven
The
experience.
fan-driven experience. You got to vote on the bands that you wanted to see, and they would make it happen. It was great. But rumor has it, and a lot of proof is available online, they didn't treat their staff well, and it just fell apart because they went on strike, and they're going to blame it on the weather,
The lightning
which
storm didn't help.
it was-
Getting evacuated.
well, yeah, the weather didn't help,
That
but if
wasn't
you
great.
if you look at the actual facts that have come out from stagehands and workers that were on the festival, even
I thought we were
volunteers
gonna die.
said they got treated like shit. So
Nowhere to go in the middle of a fucking lightning storm.
it was a
60-mile-an-hour
combination
winds
of
in
the
the middle
weather.
of fucking nowhere, Virginia.
Right. It was a combination of the weather and Blue Ridge just not doing their due diligence when it comes to handling their workers well. And it all fell apart. And it was a very big letdown.
They
because
were like, go to the buses. We're going to evacuate.
I'll never forget
There's
that.
like 15,000
No,
people trying to get on 4 buses, walking down this winding fucking road, soaking wet, standing in line for 6 hours, trying to get on one of these 4 buses, bro. Oh,
Hold on.
my God.
So-
And that was the first day. That was Thursday night. We were staying in a house in an Airbnb, like 30 miles away. So we drove into the parking lot, and the parking lots were like 4 or 5 miles away from the festival ground. They didn't have on-site parking, so you had to take a bus. So there's like 20,000 people that were day parkers.
they were trying to get on 25 shuttle buses.
It wasn't even 25. They didn't even have 25. It was like
That was
6
the
buses.
estimated,
There was
right.
like 6 buses. So we wound up sticking around to stay on the grounds the whole time because we didn't think they were actually going to cancel the whole day. Turned out they did. So we were at like the very back of the line having to get on one of these buses. And we literally waited in line for about 6 hours just to get back to our car.
6-hour wait to get on the
Soaking
bus.
wet socks.
20-minute drive
wet
on the bus
clothes.
to get to our car, and then another 45-minute drive back to our Airbnb. We didn't get home until like 4 a.m.
Yeah, and that was the first day.
And that was just the first day. Second day went pretty well.
Yeah, that was Sleep Token, Slipknot. That actually happened. Friday happened.
And then we woke up Saturday, and they postponed going in.
It was like a light drizzle, and they were like, "Yeah, the weather's stopping."
And
us."
then finally at around 3 o'clock, they were like, yeah, the
They were like,
remaining
no,
of
they were
today,
like, today's canceled. Sorry.
today's canceled. And then like an hour later, they
And then they
said,
were talking about refunds like for the day.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours later, it was like tomorrow's canceled too. Like everybody you wanted to see was Saturday and Sunday. Everybody. Limp Bizkit, Beartooth, Amity, at least for us. That was all Saturday, Sunday.
moral of the story is
Wild.
Blue Ridge 2023 was a complete shit show. And
22, we had a good time. It was the same venue, 22. There was no freak lightning storms or tornadoes.
And that's the upsetting thing. The last
And
2
then
years.
21 there was a shit show in 21, but we didn't get affected. We had a great 4 days. There was a bunch
Porta
of walking
potties
ADA,
overflowing,
the fucking
the ADA
wheelchairs
shit.
trying to get
Right.
pushed up ramps.
That's
and
crazy.
shit.
All the mud and stuff. Oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot.
But when you go to things like Warp Tour
The location.
and When We Were Young
That's really
and stuff
what
like
it
that,
was for Blue Ridge.
location is a really big
Yeah,
factor.
location
When
brought
you're
down
in the
Blue
middle
Ridge.
of fucking nowhere,
Yeah.
you have to expect that weather
No
is just
facilities, nothing.
very
the
unpredictable.
water station this year too. They were like, we have 12 water stations. There was one for like 60,000 people.
And then one in VIP, and that's
well,
it.
they had like one.
They had two
Of
of
course,
the 12.
VIP had their own. We weren't VIP,
Right.
and it was like nasty water. People were getting sick too. Like that shit was nasty tasting.
Right. What was that disease that
Giardia-
people kept saying on the
Giardia,
Facebook group?
Giardia.
Giardia,
It's like
right?
parasite. People were getting parasites from drinking the fucking water at Blue Ridge.
We're just
Nasty.
talking all this shit on Blue
Yeah.
Ridge now.
What
Um,
a time! What a time we had.
I'm thankful that we're all still alive. Our entire group is all still alive. We didn't get hurt. None of us got injured in any way. So thankfully, we all made it out alive. But a lot of people had a way worse time than even we did. And what we just talked about was our experience, let alone the people that genuinely got fucked
Yeah, that's
over.
disturbing. So like 2 of our like 6 festival experiences just got canceled, like straight up canceled.
Right.
That's lovely.
At
for
least
us.
in the last couple of years,
That's
2
lovely
of
for
them
us.
have
That
just
sucks.
not played out the way that they should have been. And it's a little upsetting. But when you think about festivals that are not like Blue Ridge, like When We Were Young, Warp Tour, and all them, like I was just about to say,
Sonic Temple,
Sonic Temple and all that.
2024,
The
my
location,
birthday Saturday.
the location is established, and it definitely plays a key role in just everything. Location is everything. When you're in Las Vegas, at least you're close to civilization because you're in civilization.
Hospitals and running water. And
Right.
all that.
You're
fun
around
stuff.
millions of people. When you have a festival in the middle of bumfuck Virginia, Mother Nature's going to show her stripes. And she obviously did this year, and it would have been fine the last 2 days if it wasn't for the mismanagement of the staff.
Also, our Airbnb's central AC busted while we were.
All right, we're not going to talk about that.
And
We're
it was
talking
the
about the
hottest
festivals.
week. It was the hottest week.
It
of
was
the
really
year
humid and hot.
in Virginia, like the hottest temperatures they've ever experienced in South Virginia. But that was my point. Was saying that's why the weather was crazy. Was because it was like 95 degrees in the second week of September in South Virginia. So
Right.
like, you know, there was like a whatever it's called when the weather's like different and crazy and humid air or whatever. There's a name for it. I can't think of it. But Warped Tour, yeah, we love Warped Tour.
Festivals
about
are
Warped Tour.
usually a great time, and we'll transition now into Warped Tour because Warped Tour was such a vibe. And do you want to say the meme?
Oh, it's I always say morning instead of good morning because if it was a good morning, I'd be at Warped Tour.
I love that meme so much. Yeah, Warped Tour was definitely a experience, and if you're listening to this and you never went to Warped Tour, I'm sorry, because me and Angelo just alone have been to 8 of them, and
I
it
went
was
to 9.
such an experience. It was such a good time. It was something to look forward to, something one day in the summer just to look forward to every single year. And unfortunately, when they stopped it in 2019, so many people, including us, were so depressed, so upset. And that's why you see all these other festivals coming around, because they're trying to take the place of Warped Tour because of how popular Warped Tour was and how amazing it was for up-and-coming bands to get noticed, and just the bands that everybody knows to just have a great time and sell tickets and drink a lot of Monster and enjoy your summer day in a parking lot in the
We
middle.
drank a lot of Monster. Huh? We drank a fuck ton of Monster.
The free Monster definitely played a good part in keeping everyone energized. I don't know about hydrated, but
We were too young to care about hydration.
So, unfortunately for me, I have only been to one Warped Tour in my entire life, but that thing was insane. Like, I had such a good time. I literally just went by myself. Like, first experience, went by myself, had to do it, right? Saw so many bands, saw like the little monks that like give you like CDs or like try to like convert you to their
Not
religion.
The bracelets, they put that shit on you,
Yeah.
like, pay up. What year?
I think it was like 2014 or 2015.
We were there.
Well,
Not in Philly.
I wasn't in
You
Philly.
were.
I was in Albuquerque at
Camden.
the time.
It's always Camden.
Yeah.
Fucking parking lot, the Susquehanna Bank Center.
What's up, Philly? This is Jersey, idiot.
right.
Same shit. But yeah, man, like I really wish they would bring something similar to Warped Tour back. I don't think they can bring
Trying
Warped
to
Tour
do it
back.
when we were young.
Yeah, but like the logistics of a countrywide, like tour like that, it's really just not feasible. Like if you listen to like the things like Kevin Lyman was talking about, like it just wasn't. Well, one, his heart wasn't into it near the tail end of it, and then logistically putting that on is like it's stitching bubble. It was bubblegum. It was bubblegum stitching it together. Like they were getting paid in just being seen, right? They're not getting paid money like they would at like a festival where things like pop in.
Some
like,
bands had to pay.
Yeah.
Some bands had to pay to be there. Yeah.
Bands paid like a couple grand. Yeah.
Yeah. It was for the exposure. That's
But to have that many eyeballs on your new band is a crazy, amazing thing.
Yeah, that's how they blow up. That's how Katy Perry got her start.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would have acts that you would never expect to be at a skate punk festival, and you're just like, why are they here? But you never know.
And then they blow the fuck up. But there's also the dark side of Warped Tour.
Which is?
I think we all know. So the jokes about the pop punk community.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of why Warped
That
Tour
could be a thing.
isn't around anymore.
I
like-
think the fact that Warped Tour ended in
We're talking about, like,
2019.
grooming? Is that what like, we're talking about? Like,
We're not going to get into that.
that's how I'm. That's
We're
what
not
I'm
gonna get
thinking
into
of.
I'm just saying there's a dark side of Warped Tour that we all know about and we joke about in the community, but it's a very real thing that happened that doesn't get enough attention.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The dark, the
like
dark.
grooming thing, like band members grooming little girls, like 14-year-old girls.
But I think we all gotta like recognize there is a dark side to Warped Tour that just frankly isn't talked about enough in the music scene. Like we all make jokes about it, but there are very serious allegations against many bands, during this time, and I think that's one of the contributing factors as to why a mostly unsupervised tour with like essentially teenage artists going around
That's a
the
good point.
country, put on a show largely unsupervised. I think that's a part of why we're not going to get anything like Warped Tour back, even though the nostalgia of it is one going to bring in a ton of money. I think there's some liabilities with when the logistics of putting a show on like that and then trusting very young folks to be across the country like that. I really don't see anything like that coming back.
That's a good point. That could be a determining factor on why they stopped it in 2019. But as someone who's went to multiple of them throughout the years, or more than multiple of them, 8 of them. It was such an experience, and it was something that I cherish in my brain. Whenever I think about concerts, Warped Tour always pops in my brain, especially the last one. The last one on the beach was definitely something to be at and experience.
We're VIP.
Having a VIP experience, being on the beach, being around. I think the total count was 34,000 people over 2 days. It was a fun time, and that's really all I'll say about it. It's really hard to describe because it was so amazing in so many levels. It's really hard to like pinpoint one exact thing. There's hundreds of things I could talk about that made Warped Tour awesome.
Yeah, same as Gliz. I only been to one Warped Tour. It was 2014. Literally just walked right in. First band I seen was The Color Morale. Really good. Then I just bunch of other bands I seen like Mayday Parade, Attila, Beartooth, Parkway Drive. Got autographs from Parkway Drive too. They were really cool people. But the one band that stuck out to me that I seen there was Bayside. I was like, holy shit, I seen Bayside. And then everyone was like, yo, you seen Bayside? That's so cool. At least I can hold that over my brother's head. Because he's never seen Bayside, and he still wants to this day.
They're a good band.
Yes, they are.
Warped Tour for me was not only you get to see, let's say, 5 bands minimum, 15 bands maximum. Not only do you get free Monster, not only is it and was it a cheap ticket.
Not even free Monster. It was flavors that never came out yet. We were the first ones
That's
to
true.
try to do flavors.
That's true. Sometimes they would give flavors that weren't even on the market yet. That's true.
Like when that Pipeline Punch came out, that joint was tasty.
Yes. So not only is it just about the Monster, not only is it about seeing all of these bands in one day over 6-7 hours most of the time. It was just an experience because you felt like a huge community around you. You had thousands, if not tens of thousands of people in this one parking lot, in this one stadium, in this one city. It was where all the emos, all the hardcore kids, all the scene kids, all of the outcasts would come, and we would just have our one day.
Don't forget the Ubus.
And the oohs, right. There's still some like experiences that still happen to this day. Like I said, when we were young, So What, Welcome to Rockville, Adjacent Fest, Incarnation. I'm not saying there's nothing like it, but there will truly never be anything like Warped Tour again, and that makes me a little upset.
Heard.
So now we're going to go into 5 bands each that we all love. My first band that I want to talk about is A Day to Remember. There's so many amazing things I could say about A Day to Remember, but just the lyrics, the metalcore / pop punk instrumentals, all the times that I've been at a show and the crowd participation, how they amp the crowd up and they do different things like Jeremy and a hamster ball or throwing toilet paper into the crowd. There's so many experiences that I have with the band, and they will always be one of my favorite bands. I've seen them 16 times live, and hopefully by the end of this year, that number will be 18. There's so many good things I could say about A Day to Remember.
My first top band for me is Knuckle Puck, Chicago pop punk. Came out in like 2012. Super just like hard-hitting, gritty, emotional pop punk, catchy songs with this like a unique sound. It really hits home for me. I had a tough time as a teenager, and they were just there for me. I don't know. There's songs that did something for me, kept me going.
All right, so for me, my absolute favorite band is Dance Gavin Dance. So I remember exactly when I first listened to the band too. It was like back in 2007 when my friends had like Lemon Meringue Tie as their MySpace profile song. And that shit got me hooked. The way the drums come into the very beginning of the song and just like the guitars, it was just like a very chill beat. And then like the 2 different, styles of vocalization between like John Mess and, Johnny Craig. It blew my little 15-year-old mind. It was the greatest song I've ever heard. And it's still one of my favorite songs to this day from them. Granted, when you go back to those albums back in like 2005, 2007, right, the production in comparison to what they put out today is terrible. Like, if you go back to these older bands, early albums, it sounds like crap. But it's the nostalgia, it's the way it makes you feel. And they're all still genuinely good songs, don't get me wrong, but the production quality is just garbage. But when you get a chance to like hear like remasters or hear it live, it just brings you back to, you know, that first time you heard it and you were just like inspired and in awe of this song. And then Dance Gavin Dance's history is probably one of the most unique bands that I can think of. There's not many bands that can survive, you know, having to drop their lead singers and to do it twice, and then, you know, bring them back and lose them again, and then bring on, you know, a completely different person, and then still be able to, you know, evolve their sound and then bring it even further. There's not many bands that I can honestly say that have created their own genre. So last year I went to Swan Fest, which was amazing, and typically they'll bring out like more like swancore like style bands that were inspired or, you know, a part of like Will Swan's like record label, or were a part of like Dance Gavin Dance, or, you know, an affiliated band with them. But they brought out all kinds of different folks. So it was cool to see how, you know, that festival has expanded within itself. But for one band to be able to generate their own genre and inspire so many different bands to kind of follow suit and recreate the sound but make it their own, it's something special. And that's why I have like 2 Dance Gavin Dance like tattoos, but they inspire me that much.
Lemon Rank Tie is a very good song. First song I heard from them. For me, one of my favorite bands right now, obviously my favorite of all time is ADTR, but, you know, Joey spoke of the boys already, a.k.a. Jeremy, a.k.a. my birthday twin. One of my favorite bands right now, so ironically, me and Joey actually discovered this band driving in his car a couple years ago. Band's called Brand of Sacrifice, and these guys, whew, where do I even begin? The instrumentation, insane. The man sounds like he's murdering pigs 24/7. And the man can hit inwards and outwards things that I've never seen a human experience in my life. It's just like everything about them is insane. The breakdowns are slow. They're slow, they're fast, they're like, they mix like 3 different genres of core and just put it into one thing. And as soon as you hear this man go off, it's just like, all right, where's the Slaughterhouse at? Like, they're insane. I definitely advise them check it out. Look up Eclipse. Very good song.
All right, so the next band that's on my top list is Blink-182. The evolution of Blink-182 is interesting to me. When they first started out, they were young, they were silly, and all they talked about was dick jokes. But as you go into their discography, and pretty much starting with Feeling This, the album that has Feeling This on it, they're self-titled. Feeling This for me was the song that really made me see, okay, this is a really serious band. They have a lot of depth. They have a lot of differing sides when it comes to songs. You can have one song that's I fucked your mom, and then you can have another song that's talking about death and heartbreak and divorce and stuff like that. So Blink for me will always be one of my top. Travis Barker is an inspiration to me as a drummer because I'm also a drummer. Tom DeLonge, he's right about aliens, and he's definitely a very influential person in the pop punk community. And of course, can't forget Mark Hoppus. Mark Hoppus has been featured on so many tracks. He's influential in so many up-and-coming pop punk bands. And just all around, the trio has been rock solid over the last, I feel like it's been 25 years now.
My next one would be Grayscale. Philly pop punk. Every band in my top 5 is pop punk, so get ready for that. Grayscale is kind of like Knuckle Puck, definitely like angsty pop punk, but they have more of like an alternative vibe to them. Super, super, super into them. I know every single song they ever made. I'm in one of their music videos, actually. We all know them pretty well. Great Philly scene pop punk band. We go to they do a holiday show in Philly every year. Always a good time.
All right, so my next top band, and this was my number 1 band for my Spotify Wrapped this past year. It's Knocked Loose, motherfucker. I absolutely adore this band. So a lot of folks are kind of on the fence on the vocals, but I promise you, it is definitely an acquired taste, and once you acquire that taste, you can't get enough of it. So they've been absolutely killing it. Like, for a hardcore metalcore band to be in so many different festivals like Coachella, Lollapalooza, like festivals that absolutely do not sound like them. It was it was hilarious to see. You know, it's like what was like Knocked Loose's set gonna be like at Coachella when you like when you think like Coachella, you think about like those snotty, you know, like West Hollywood types.
All the rich kids
Yeah.
coming, and
The rich kids that
then you
would
just
bully
have
us and shit like that. And like, see like get knocked the fuck out at like a Knocked Loose like show would be tops for me. But they got some really solid tracks out there, really high intensity, high energy stuff. I saw them recently at Apocalypse Fest in Scranton, and there was like a little hill pit like on the dirt, and like the entire day leading up, like the pit was mostly just like a push pit, and then there would be like a few hardcore kids that would like do a little windmill, and like some like dude in their 40s would like run from the sidewalls like, hey, you can't do that here. We're not about that in this place. And we all like gathered together, combined forces, like, all right, when Knocked Loose comes on, we're showing this place what the fuck is up. And it turned to an absolute bloodbath. Like people were swinging all left and right, like doing spin kicks. It was insane. I definitely saw like at least 3 dudes get knocked the fuck out. Like it was a good time. I absolutely love this band.
My next band is actually in my top 5 bands, and it's Beartooth. Seen Beartooth first time Warped Tour 2014. They stuck with me since then. First song I heard from them was Beating It Lives off of Disgusting. Good song. Seen them again in 2016. They ended the show with Body Bag, and obviously, you know, that went not well for a lot of people. But yeah, Disgusting's probably my favorite album for them. I know it's the first album, and the tuning and the sounds different for what they do now, but holy shit, every song on that album, front to back, is just perfect. Aggressive is also a good album, and then the one that came out, I think it was, 2021? Devastation?
The single or the album?
The album.
The album's called Below.
Below, yeah, that album.
2021, I think, or
Yep.
2022.
Great album. Yeah, Beartooth, one of my all top 5 favorite bands right now.
The song Body Bag makes you want to rip a door off its fucking hinges.
Bro, it makes me want to jump out the window and snort coke and just start running down Westfield.
That's a great way to put it. That song just, the demon comes out of you. He's right. That song is amazing.
Play it when we saw them. They played Mr. Brightside.
They played Mr. Brightside
Body
acoustic.
Bag is
Did Mr.
Body Bag is
Brightside
a song.
acoustic.
Body Bag is a song that gets you pumped to get ready to go round 100 on Nazi zombies, bro.
That's true. My third band is a band that I've already mentioned so far, Green Day. I have so many good things I could talk about when it comes to Green Day. First of all, your drummer is called Trey Cool. Like, that's awesome. That's fucking sick. His I think if I'm not mistaken, his first name's like Frederick or something like that. But
What?
who knows him as Frederick? Everyone knows him as Trey Cool. Mike Dirnt kills the fucking bass. He's awesome. I love him. And how can you forget Billy Joe Armstrong? He's amazing. Like I said, they've been around since 1988. They're the literal definition of boomers that are still in rock and roll. It's fucking awesome. And American Idiot, still to this day, is one of my favorite albums of all time. There are so many good lyrics, so many good quotes, so pop punky, so in your face. It's great. And it was made in the Bush administration, and it was when the whole, at least current, politics storm, pretty much where it first started. So if you want a really good representation of why politics are the way they are today, that album was pretty much the start of it, the 2000s on. It's a great album, and they're an amazing band.
Ah, yes, Bush.
Bush.
Good old Bush.
My next band, number 3, is The Story So Far. Again, super pop punky, very intense. Parker Cannon is a nutcase. We love him. He had his problems with drugs, just like me, so I relate to that a lot. He also punched a security guard in the face at Warped Tour, defending a crowd surfer who got like shoved by the security guard. So we love that. Super cool. He also is the front man of that new hardcore band, No Pressure. Joe and I are super into.
Yeah, they're great.
That's always fun. It's always a good time. Stage diving and shit, little venues. Yeah, Story So Far.
All right, so my third band, it's gonna break my heart. It's Issues, and this is a band that I definitely grew up with, with late teens, early 20s, and they just announced, well, not just announced, they just did their final show ever. So I'm still pretty sad about that, but they were absolutely revolutionary, back in like the early 2010s. These,
Talk about mixing rap.
Yeah.
I thought the final show was a joke. They actually ended.
No, it's
yeah,
not.
they're absolutely
I
done.
saw the post.
Oh,
Those are
wow.
farewell shows.
Yeah, like
I
Michael
forgot.
Bond came back
Mike
and
went back. Yeah.
yeah, they buried the hatchet.
That was a whole thing.
Yeah, they did not bring back Tyler Carter though, because that fool he really
Wah, wah.
womp womp. But I absolutely love Issues. Like they've always been like at the top of my Spotify plays every single year. They're really experimental with how they bring like funky bass lines, like really chunky like thick bass lines to their songs, and like it's a good balance between metalcore. They got some jazzy influences, R&B influences in there. Like they even got like a few like gospel vocals in like some of their songs. It just fits so Disappear.
Fucking Bob.
Oh my god, it's like hits right.
Remember when?
I will need you. Well, I need you now. Yo, we're gonna start a band over here. Yeah, but like absolutely, Issues is one of my favorite bands. Incredible vocals from Tyler Carter back in the day. Just objectively, he was really good at what he did in the band. Everything else outside of that, he can bounce sand. But in the band, while he was singing, phenomenal. And then Sky Accord's bass lines. Those are like he is my absolute favorite bassist from any band. So that's my third.
Now we're on to my third favorite band. One I've been listening to probably since like 2006, 2007 because of my brother, Slipknot. Everything they've done, the soft songs, the heavy songs, even the ones that sound like they're the same one from every other album, everything with them is perfection. Album 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many albums they have at this point. I think they have like 7 or 8. Like even their demo stuff is great. Like just everything they've done. Like they got turntables, you got fucking synthesizers, you got Clown Man over there using fucking beer kegs with a baseball bat. Like what other band does that? Seriously, what other band uses beer kegs for a drum?
You're right. It's definitely a sight to see. When we saw them at Blue Ridge, they had like 9 of their members, right? It's 9.
Yeah, 9.
And they had like one on the beer keg, one on over here, one on the keyboard, one on this. It's a whole production.
Yeah,
Like
and it's great.
It's
And
nuts.
for some reason, every song they have to use 3 minutes of fucking pyro. Especially like Corey Taylor probably passed out from heat stroke 37 goddamn times, but Corey Taylor's great.
Yeah, they're definitely really good.
Speaking of Slipknot, Corey Taylor's having a live show coming up soon. I'm gonna go see because he always plays like SpongeBob and some random shit live.
And that's another thing too. Corey Taylor has a lot of range, like his like solo projects and all that.
For a man with a deep, raspy voice, this man can hit ranges I never
That's
expected.
another show we're supposed to see on Sunday at Blue Ridge.
I know. Another
Corey
band.
Solo.
Right.
R.I.P. Joey, R.I.P. Paul.
Right. My fourth band is State Champs. You want to talk about a really good pop punk band from the 2010s? State Champs is that band. They are amazing. I think I've seen them 13 times now, 12 times. I would have to pull up my set list to confirm that. But it's definitely in the double digits at this point. They are great. They are very much the definition of pop punk. Love all their lyrics, love all the members. We've met the members a couple times. They're definitely so nice, down to earth. They make really good music. Their live shows, the crowd, everything is just amazing with this band. So I would definitely recommend State Champs and check them out.
My fourth band is going to have to be Neck Deep, British pop punk. They are definitely up there, one of my favorite bands. Every single album, that's another one that was hitting right in the feels when I was a teenager. Every time they come around, it's chaos. That's actually our next concert. I'm
super
definitely
excited.
Going to be a good time. Really love them. I'm going actually to London to their show at Alexandra Palace. It's their biggest headlining show. Them and Knuckle Puck, actually, so perfect for me. I'm making a whole Euro trip out of it, though. That looks going to be fun. I'm excited about that. But, yeah, we love Neck Deep. End of March. The show's the 28th, March 28th, yeah.
All right. So for my fourth favorite band, they haven't been one of my favorite bands for a very long time. But again, I'm a somewhat recent Philly transplant. So I gotta show some love to some Philly bands. So Varials. Varials is a phenomenal band in like the hardcore metalcore scene. I've been going to like any show that they show up here and around in the surrounding areas. It's something. There's something to be said about seeing a band on their home turf and seeing the crowd really support them. Much love to all those dudes in that band. I can't wait to see more of them in the coming years.
So my fourth band, only listened to these guys for about a couple years, but I thought Brand of Sacrifice was heavy. No. Slaughter to Prevail. The things that this man can do. I've witnessed this man sounding like a goddamn alligator about to attack a fucking lizard. This man sounds like he's birthing Satan. This man sounds like he's performing exorcism on Satan. This man's vocals are just like, just know if I see this man in the war with he's on Russia's side, fuck no, I'm running. No, I'm not fighting that thing. I literally see this man fight a grizzly bear on a fucking music video. Who fights a bear in a video?
That's really fucking hardcore.
I mean, dudes from Russia, what do you expect? The whole band's from Russia, but goddamn are they good. Viking, great breakdown. Agony, great breakdown. Demolisher, forget about it. Baba Yaga's gonna fucking start a war when just the first Russian person you see to fuck.
That was a great explanation for them, dog.
I mean, you're gonna slaughter motherfuckers to prevail the system. Shit.
It literally says it in their band name, Slaughter to Prevail. So,
Literally.
yeah,
Their shows are a little much.
a little much, but
We saw them in Blue Ridge.
we're here for it.
I need to see them too before I die.
And my fifth and final band on the list that I wrote down is the Amity Affliction. They are a band that, to some are controversial, but to people like us are so therapeutic. Most of their lyrics deal with death and heartbreak and addiction and things that are really sensitive in today's world to talk about. So it's nice hearing them in song form, and it's nice hearing from personal experiences because Joel, the lead singer, the lead dirty vocals singer, the unclean vocals singer, has admitted that a lot of the lyrics they wrote on their first couple of albums are personal experiences and things that he went through. So it's definitely a deep dive into his own therapy.
About the ocean and tears.
A lot of songs about the ocean, a lot of songs,
The coffins.
a lot of
being
songs.
buried,
They have a lot of
dragging
death,
lakes.
a lot of death, a lot of lakes, a lot of
bodies of water
a lot of bodies of
mentioned.
water. They are a solid fucking band
So
when you
good.
think about Joel's dirty vocals, Aaron's clean vocals, Joe on the drums. It's such a good band, and if you don't know them or you know a little bit about them, I would definitely highly recommend getting into them. You will not regret it.
My final band is Real Friends. Also, like Knuckle Puck from Illinois. Super like angsty and just like upbeat in your face pop punk that like everybody loves. Can't really knock on it. It's great. They are kind of controversial in the sense that like they have a new lead singer now, and their old lead singer Dan was like had a very very unique voice, and I mean I think they're great now too. I'm not gonna hate on old Real Friends. You know, I loved them for years. I loved them since they became a thing. Like their first EP when I was in high school. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're doing something different now, and I'm all for it. I'm still seeing them live. Love it.
Sounds pretty
and
similar
they play their
in
old
concert,
stuff too.
yeah.
You know, Cody's still singing Dan's old songs, so it's not like they're totally new.
Dan's voice was definitely unique, but
Yeah.
I mean, you could
There are a
barely
lot
tell
of
the
people
difference
that are
live.
like. There's a lot of people that are like, I don't like Real Friends. They're fake friends. I don't listen.
They're
to,
fake
I don't
friends.
listen to Real Friends anymore because Dan isn't in it. Then he doesn't sound like Dan. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to say you sound like Cody sounds better, but it's different. It's something else. And they're still singing the same fucking songs that I was crying to when I was a teenager, so I'm not upset about it.
They're still playing the old songs, and that's what matters.
Exactly.
All right, so my final band is The Color Morale. It's so surprising to me how good of a band this is, but they didn't have the popularity that they truly deserved. And all the band members are phenomenal, especially Garrett Rapp. I've met Garrett several times through various different concerts on multiple sides of the country, both in Albuquerque and New Jersey. Phenomenal man. And some of the topics that they talk about in their music was really inspirational to me in some like the darkest times of my life. So when people say like, "Hey, music saved my life," this is definitely one of the bands that I can attribute that to. So they will always have a very special place in my heart.
And then my fifth and final band is one I actually discovered in high school while I was in computer class one day. It's a band called Ocean's 8 Alaska. Shockingly, they're not from Alaska. They're actually from the UK. They are just, I don't even know how to explain it to them. Like, everything they do is, like, different. Like, yeah, the guitars sound the same to most of, like, a lot of bands in the same genre. But once you tune in with the drums, you hear, like, how skillfully techniqued the drummer is. Like, he does things I don't see regular drummers do. Like, in the middle of a breakdown, he'll do, like, triplets on top of, like, doing little Martian snare drum rolls on top of dotting at the same time. Like, the dude makes everything sound so choppy, but it's so good that it's like, I need to hear more of this. I first discovered them when they had a song called Clocks come out years ago. Breakdown was simple but choppy, really good. Then they came out with the Vultures and Sharks album, great album. This man can drum like a fucking machine. Like, we literally call him Alien because the man can make like 13 different sounds on one drum kit.
Clocks is a good song.
Clocks is a good song, and yeah, that's definitely solid.
Slowly kills us.
All right. So we all named the 5 bands that we wanted to talk about, but then we had the idea of naming 2 each underrated / bands that should blow up soon because they are very talented and they don't get enough love, correct? So the first one for me is called Waster, and it's spelled WSTR in all caps. Waster, it's meant so you take out the A and you take out the E. You basically take out the vowels, and it's just Waster. They are solid pop punk, and they don't get enough love. Their 3 albums that they just came out with in the last couple of years, they're not a band that's been around for a while, but I would say I think their Screwed EP came out in, 2015? 2015, yeah. So they've only been around for like 9 years, but they have 3 pretty good albums and a solid EP. So I would definitely give them a listen to if you could.
My first underrated band would be Like Moths to Flames. I've been seeing them for years and years and years. They're finally talking about a band that's not pop punk. They're more hardcore, like post-hardcore, metalcore, what you will. They have a few really big songs, like You Won't Be Missed and I Solemnly Swear. They're definitely just like, I don't want to say like evil, but like, like talking about death and stuff, and like Chris's unclean vocals. I don't say dirty vocals. That sounds weird. They're very unique and just like strong and like, aggressive. I love them a lot. All their songs are good. Their newest stuff is kind of like, but their older, what they put out when they put out was A+ for me.
All right, so for me, a band that I really want to give a lot of attention to is this band called Not Enough Space, and they're based in like I want to say like Central Florida, and it's a little bit of that throwback metalcore that we all love from like back in like early 2010s, but they bring a level of intensity that's super refreshing, and I think the song that really sticks out to me is Goth Girl Dinner. So it's definitely a song you'll have to check out. Like, that's homework for everyone here. Listen to Goth Girl Dinner. It is fucking intense. And it's basically like them like talking shit about men and wanting to like disembowel them for being like shitty people.
Did you say Goth Girl Dinner?
Goth Girl Dinner, dude.
Girl dinner.
That just sounds like a bop.
We haven't said that in a while.
I gotta listen, that just
We
sounds
were
like a
so
bop.
obsessed with girl dinner. None of us have said that in so long.
Yeah. Like, one of the lyrics, like, if you think this song's about you, you're part of the problem, which kind of goes back to, like, misogyny within the scene that doesn't get it highlighted enough. So, big shout out, to this band for bringing light to that and executing it on an extremely well done song.
So for me, one of my favorite I mean, they are good. They're not one of my favorites, but they are, I think, heavily underrated. Is the band Spirit Box. Like Lizzie said earlier, they did a song with Megan Thee Stallion and Song of Straight Flames. Don't even care what anybody says. But I actually figured out something recently about them. They actually used to be the band I Wrestled the Bear once. I didn't know they went through the name change.
No
Which kind of shot the hell out of me.
Serious?
Yeah. It's literally the same band. They just went through a whole music change and name change. It's literally the same band, which I didn't realize.
Dude, I love I Wrestled a Bear Once.
Spirit Box.
Really?
Yeah, Spirit Box apparently is Wrestled a Bear once. I literally looked it up and I was like, no shit. I was like, it's the same goddamn band.
I think we, at least me and Angelo, back in our early days of Warped Tour, most likely either saw them in passing or like were in the crowd when they were playing.
Yeah, that song, that one song they have is called like, You Know Them Dogs, whatever the hell it is. It's like the clowns
Know
like
Them
shoving
Dogs.
things in people's faces and kicking kids into the pool.
The era of long song titles.
Yeah,
Yes.
that song's great. But I'm serious. What he said earlier, check out the one with Megan Thee Stallion. Shit is fire.
All right, I'll give it a listen to. You've convinced me. My second underrated band is a band called Sink the Ship. These guys came onto my radar recently. My brother Sonny, he said one of their songs came on his daily mix, and then he sent me and Angelo the entire album because he listened to the whole album and he said, you guys need to get into this. So recently, I would say in the last year, I started genuinely having this album on repeat because it is so good. The album's called Persevere by the band Sink the Ship. They are a great combination, just like A Day to Remember, of metalcore, hardcore, and pop punk. They are a great combination of the two genres that a lot of bigger bands utilize still to this day, and they do not get as much love as they should. They sound just like every other of your favorite bands that have them two genres. So big shout out to Sink the Ship, big shout out to Persevere, and if I go back to my Spotify Wrapped in 2023, I think like 8 of the songs in my top 10 were from that album. So highly recommend that album.
My last underrated band for me is Woe Is Me. We talked about Issues already, which was a spin-off of Woe Is Me. Woe Is Me has been out for a long time now. They broke up, but they just had recently gotten back together. Their new songs are really good. I love them. And when I was in high school, Genesis and Numbers were big albums for me. Every single song off Genesis is like fucking A+, super amazing. Not one bad song. Love Woe Is Me. Probably more than Issues, but it's okay. But Issues wouldn't be a thing without Woe Is Me, so.
I'll slightly disagree. Issues can definitely stay on its own without.
It became a thing because people left Woe Is Me and started.
True.
You can't
but-
have issues without Woe Is Me. That's all I meant by that. I'm not saying. I think
Yeah. But I definitely agree. Woe Is Me. Painfully underrated. If you don't listen to Woe Is Me, I don't fuck with you. Like I'll just put it like that. You're that good.
I'm Ricky Bobby, and if you don't chew Big Red, then fuck you. Same kind of vibe.
Yeah. But the last band that I think is about to blow up, like the fuse is lit, you're going to see them all over the place, is this band called Silly Goose. And they're based in Atlanta.
I love the name already.
Yeah. They are quintessential DIY, hardcore, like new metal, hip hop, like just like a bunch of kids that are just like raging against like the entire system, and they bring an energy that I have not seen in a very long time on a big scale. So kind of like what we were talking about earlier with like bands utilizing like social media to get their brand out there. They have a few viral videos of them just setting up DIY shows in random places. Like we all know like the famous like what's up? What the fuck is up, Denny's? So like the same kind of vibe. So they did a show like they literally only get to play one song outside of a Buc-ee's. And I know most of y'all are like East Coasters, but I fucking love Buc-ee's.
Me and Angela have been to a Buc-ee's before. It's a sight to behold. You want to talk about the biggest fucking place that sells pretty much everything. That's what a Buc-ee's is.
Boosies. But yeah, Silly Goose has been like setting up like DIY shows like outside of like other people's shows. They set up a pop-up show in the parking lot outside of Issue's last show in Atlanta.
I'm crying.
Yeah, they don't.
Talk about fuck the system.
Yeah.
It's your last show. Hey, guess what, guys? Got another concert going on out here.
I'm
Yeah.
deceased.
Yeah, they are something else. And they got some really solid music out there. So if you're into this like new wave, like new metal, definitely check them out. They're a fun band.
And then for me, my second favorite underrated band, heavily slept on, I think, is Alisana. They have definitely.
What'd you say? I didn't hear what you said. What did you say?
They spit on me once.
They spit on you? All right, tell that story.
I gotta hear this.
Sorry to interrupt your thing, but like, yeah, I may have snuck into one of their shows when I was a teenager. It was at the small venue in Albuquerque, and like right up front, and the lead singer is like getting after it and like singing their heart out, and I could just like see this big old droplet just coming across from the stage and landing right on my face.
Oh God.
So I felt that was karma for me sneaking into a show, but like, no, I mean, I wasn't attracted to this dude.
Wait, which one did the spitting? Was it the screamer or was it Shawn Milk, aka the high vocals?
I can't remember, man. It was so long ago.
Alisana.
This was like back in like 2012 or 2013.
Yeah, I think Alisana is heavily underrated. Their whole Emptiness album is great. All the albums they had before are great. Alesana.
Alisana?
Yes.
Alisana, yeah.
Yes, I pronounce it Alisana because that's how I know it, because I'm white and I have no context of anything.
There you go.
They look like crackheads.
They look like crackheads. Love it.
It's giving like asking Alexandria.
If anybody, speaking of Alexandria, they actually, the guy who does the high vocals in the band, Shawn Milk, is actually on an Asking Alexandria song.
I don't want to be spit on by any of them.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to be spit on by them. Nah.
For those who don't know, Shawn Milk from Alisana is on the song "Hey There, Mr. Brooks."
Very cool. Woo. All right, that was a great way to wrap up the podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. My social media for Instagram is Newport Shorty.
Yeah, if you want to follow me, my Instagram handle is its_Duranimal.
Mine is GCAS12, GCAS12. Undoubtedly the best Instagram of the bunch.
My Instagram is Raspo Sensei, aka Jiraiya, from Naruto. So understand it, get it right. What, Raspo means Sensei means master. It's literally
That was
Jiraiya
great.
from Naruto.
That was great. And no, G, Newport Shorty is the best one. I'm sorry. Once again, thank you guys for listening, and we're going to give it to the end quote now. The end quote for this podcast is from the band Sum 41. It's from the album Does This Look Infected, and it's from the song called The Hell Song. The quote goes as following: "Everybody's got their problems. Everybody says the same thing to you. It's just a matter how you solve them and knowing how to change the things you've been through. Hope to see you guys on our next episode."
Yeet.
Okay, bye.
Peace!
Yeet.